Value Impulses with Dr. Ulrich Vogel. Personal diagnostics insights, leadership, assessments, and personnel development. Hello and a warm welcome to a new episode of Value Impulses, the podcast from Profiling Values. I'm Ulrich Vogel, and today we're tackling a truly irresistible topic. What's it called? How you can achieve long-term customer loyalty through value-based work. Yes, I'm talking to you. Sounds exciting. It really is. Just imagine you no longer have to constantly chase after new clients. Instead, you nurture stable, trusting customer relationships that secure your long-term success. Sounds pretty appealing, doesn't it? I mean, of course we always have to work on getting new clients. One doesn't replace the other. Right. Because there are always unexpected situations, and clients drop off, even when it's not your fault. That's why, I'd say, renewing and maintaining a steady client base is really important. But you want to be able to look in the mirror and say, hey, I did everything I could to make customer loyalty as strong as possible. And now I'm going to break down a bit what really matters here. So, let's get started. First, we need to understand why working with values actually has an impact. You might be wondering, what exactly is working with values? Well, it's honestly more than just a buzzword. Yeah, working with values is kind of like a secret ingredient, well, in this case, I mean a not-so-obvious ingredient that makes relationships with customers deep and truly meaningful. Yeah, there are also lots of sayings, like cooked with love, prepared with care, or putting your heart and soul into it. But it can go the other way, too. Someone might be described as having a sharp tongue, or being head over heels in love, or we say we have to roll up our sleeves, go the extra mile, and so on, right? Values have something physical about them, something human, both in a positive and a negative sense. Right. But when we're doing something technical, we often only think about the technical side of things and forget about the truly important values that, in a way, are invisibly underlying everything. Yeah, let me give you an example. It's similar to a presenter who, right up until the last minute before the presentation in front of the audience, is still tweaking the content. Yeah. On what? Yeah, there's always still something missing. Oh, always adding something in here. Yeah, and in doing so, he completely forgets about the how. So, taking a moment to pause, to feel, to focus, to be mindful of how I can reach and inspire people with my language, my body language, and imagery. Yeah. If you only tinker with the what and forget about the how, you just stay on the technical, factual surface. Yeah. And that's not a good foundation for long-term customer loyalty. Because when it comes to customer loyalty, it's really about building real connections, just like the name says. Connections that can actually withstand some strain. Yeah. Just like Stephen Covey talks about the emotional bank account that needs to be topped up. I'll come back to that in a moment, But specifically, even a supposedly simple value, like honesty for example. That can be the foundation for unbreakable trust. Think about successful coaches who always stay authentic and transparent. That's their secret formula for loyal clients. Or think about the value of customer focus or customer benefit. Yeah. If, for example, my client knows that I always put myself in the shoes of their entire company, right, and that I look out for the well-being and fate of the business and fully stand behind it, and it's clear that I always want what's best for this company, then this value is constantly at work inside my client and keeps them close to me. Yeah. They might not always be fully aware of it, but it's working inside them. Yeah. That's how close a market competitor, or let's just say a rival, would have to get first. Yeah. At that point, the argument that the other one is cheaper doesn't hold any weight at all. By the way, cheaper. It can end up being very expensive if you buy too cheap. Yeah, but that's another story. So, now I'll show you the values compass. It's like a companion, and it's also a good guide for building long-term customer loyalty through working with values. Yeah. You might be wondering what working with values looks like in your daily life, how you can put it into practice. Yeah. And that's where this values compass comes into play, which can be a really reliable companion. So, in our training programs, the values compass comes up quite often. For those who aren't familiar with it, here's a quick overview. Robert S. Hartman, the founder of formal axiology, distinguished between three fundamental value dimensions: the human, the practical, and the fundamental. You can also symbolize them with heart, hand, and mind, or physically, if you like. And there's also a hierarchy of values. So, what's human is always more valuable than what's practical, which in turn is more valuable than what's fundamental or systemic, right? And everyone has their own way of interacting with these three value dimensions. Yeah. There are the passionate salespeople, the true quality enthusiasts, the proactive go-getters, there's all sorts, you know. But if we understand other people's compasses, yeah, then we can work better with them and, I have to say, forge better conditions or better relationships. But this value compass doesn't always have to be mathematical, like it is with Hartman. That's actually the basis of the profiling values method, that you can form value perspectives from value dimensions and value spaces. But no, let's just take it easy for now and, for example, simply find out which values are non-negotiable for you. So, what is essential for you? Build on that, let them shine through in every conversation and every coaching session. And in the exercise, go ahead and set these non-negotiable values against their opposites. So, in other words, what you definitely don't want to experience. If we take honesty as an example again, then dishonesty is, the opposite, and it's important to make clear how you feel about that as well. If I project this onto us, onto our company, profiling values, and take our 5 corporate values as an example, I'll just name them quickly: individuality, trust, orientation, competence, and precision. Individuality. Why? Well, because we deal with the individual and their value system. And, when we do that, when we get so close to people, they have to trust us, right? And we want to give them orientation through these results and our advice so that they can recognize their strengths and potential. Explore your potential is our slogan, after all. And we do that with expertise and also with precision, meaning with precise tools. Yeah. And with that, it becomes pretty clear quite quickly what we stand for, right? And so, yeah, the question for you, which values are your core values? Well, I already talked about that in the last episode. What sets you apart from the competition in sales? Yeah, here it's about being different from the others. No one can just give you that, straight out of some manual or handbook. You have to get involved yourself to authentically establish your own values. One thing you can generally say, I think, especially in business and particularly in services, always focus on empathy. The ability to listen is worth its weight in gold. Customers love it when they feel that you truly understand them, yeah. Now let's talk about the art of value creation, what I think is a great term, yeah. We don't like negative surprises, but positive ones, we definitely do. That's where things get interesting. So surprise your customers with those unexpected, I'll call them value moments, yeah. It can be as simple as an unexpected phone call, a thank you card, yeah, or an extra coaching tool that you provide to your client, yeah. Little gestures like that leave a lasting impression, yeah, and make the bond even stronger. And now I want to come back to the emotional bank account from Covey, Stephen Covey, from The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He says that in relationships, it's the little things that top up the emotional, or the feeling, bank account. And if I keep it well filled with little things that accumulate and strengthen the relationship, then it can even weather a storm. That means something might get withdrawn from the emotional bank account, but there's still something left. If I'm always running on empty and then, something really hits hard emotionally in the relationship, it can happen that I'm suddenly in debt, so to speak, and the relationship could also come to an end, yeah. And I mean, everyone knows the saying, little gifts keep friendships alive, right? So, why shouldn't that apply in business as well? So, what are long-term connections really? It's simply more than just numbers, yeah. To be clear, numbers alone don't make a relationship. Sure, they're important, yeah, but your real focus should be on the people. Get qualitative feedback. Find out how your customers are really doing. Those are the real aha moments in customer relationships. And by the way, especially when your client is having a tough time. Yeah, if he or she tells you about it, then you're already doing well, you're already close. Yeah, that means you've already built that trust. If you then have an open ear, maybe offer help, like a sparring session or, give something concrete in quotes, then you're really forging that lasting relationship, yeah. Because when we're having a hard time and someone helps us, we remember that, yeah. But on the flip side, be careful during good times, yeah. Don't get cocky, don't get carried away, yeah. Don't even think about trying to squeeze more out of your client, quote unquote, than is fair, than you actually deserve. So resist any temptation, yeah, to take advantage of your client. That can really, really come back to bite you. So never get arrogant, yeah, resist what's called hubris. That actually happened to me once in my early years as a consultant, yeah. And it's not going to happen to me again. That's why I'm giving you this personal tip here. Take a moment to check yourself or your client relationship, like this. Would I actually enjoy spending some of my free time with this client? Or would I just see it as an annoying obligation? And would he or she feel the same way about spending time with me? Of course, with some client relationships, that's just not realistic, yeah. Still, it's a good question to think about the depth of a professional relationship. Personally, by the way, over the past 25 years, I've developed numerous professional friendships, really, over decades now, yeah, 25 years, and that's truly fulfilling. That's all I can say. So, what's my conclusion? Yeah, and maybe also the call to action, as they like to say. Let's sum it up. Working with values is basically the secret key to long-term customer loyalty. It's kind of like the lubricant in the gears that holds all the technical stuff together and makes lasting added value possible. A gearbox, after all, means the transfer of power. That's why it's a nice image, these gears, and then the oil, so everything runs smoothly. The challenge is to keep reminding yourself of this, not just to work on the gears, but also to provide the lubricant and to work on that as well. You just mentioned the values forge. That's why I think it's such a good image. Sure, a customer relationship can sometimes be comfortable, in quotation marks, like riding a bike gently downhill. But at some point, it levels out again or even gets steep, and then you have to be fit enough to pedal for your customer loyalty, to give it your all to get back to the plateau or the summit. The chain needs to be lubricated and stay lubricated. You need to be fit and stay fit. The substantive purpose of the customer relationship, that's your professional expertise. But the lasting success of the customer relationship lies in your professional expertise, well combined with your excellent work on values. Basically, professional expertise and work on values need to be amalgamated, really like an amalgam, something that binds them together inseparably. So why not start today and adjust your values compass? Take the first step, commit to consistently aligning your actions with your values, and keep your customers' values in mind as well. I also invite you to become part of our values community and take your customer loyalty to the next level. Let's work together to make the world a little bit better. You can find out more about us, Profiling Values, on our website at www.profilingvalues.com or on LinkedIn. But we'll also include everything in the show notes if you want to get a bit more informed there. In any case, I wish you strong customer relationships and outstanding customer loyalty. Because the old saying holds true for consultants, coaches, trainers, and really all service providers, in the end, everyone gets the clients they deserve. Thank you very much for listening to Wordy Impulse. I'd be really happy if you join us again next time. Until then, stay curious, eager to learn, eager to grow, and authentic.